dinosaurs, prehistoric animals and the prehistoric ape, monkey. The video shows how humans who try to call themselves paleontologists and scientists created the dinosaur bones since 1957, where the scamming started in the US which then spread worldwide. Paleontologist scammers created the so-called dinosaur bones, fossils. If you want to keep on listening, keep on watching as I will explain in more detail. All these bones were created by scammers who got millions in government fundings to pay for their so-called hard labor and excavations, though there never were any excavations. As the video shows, the dinosaur bones can be created by blacksmiths, grinders, masonries and rock and stone sculptors using various tools, while other groups of scammers prefer to use the method of dumping wet cement mixed with sandstone powder in mold cast to let it dry, which creates a hard sandstone fossil so that they don't have to do all the grinding and so they don't have to resort to intense labor that deals using heavy machinery. It all depends on the group of method and choice. The dinosaur fossils are not permitted to be tested by anyone outside of the scamming group that found the fossils, and are only permitted to be tested by those they choose or pay to lie. The bones are claimed by scientists to be made out of sandstone rock sediment, which anyone can make by sculpting as the video shows, or by using wet cement and sandstone powder or even limestone powder, but as I mentioned, they are not allowed to be tested by anyone. That is not permitted. The museum directors never actually test the dinosaur or prehistoric animals' fossils. All they ask is if the person is paleontologist and the fossil is accepted as legit. The only testing they may do is to touch it and see if it's a sandstone fossil or a stone fossil, but they are not going to take out a microscope to test it. Dinosaurs never existed. They are never dug up and excavated, but pretended to be dug up by paleontologist scam artists. The dinosaur discoveries started in the US in 1857, where the dinosaur legend started. The paleontologists were able to fool people because the leaders of the scamming were paleontologists that would help design the dinosaurs, then send those dinosaur bones they created into certain locations of different terrains where their friends would pretend to dig and discover them, and then the paleontologist would pretend to examine them, making up any type of bullshit. Since they were unable to produce actual bone, they came up with excuse that the bones had turned into fossils made of sandstone rock sediments. Since the paleontologists that were the leaders in the scamming were acting as the examiners of the fossils once they were discovered, the government and public believed them, though they could never actually take a bone and fossilize it. Never has a bone been able to turn into a sandstone fossil. Never have scientists or paleontologists been able to actually fossilize a bone with any of their methods of fossilization they talk about, though with high-tech equipment they should be able to, but since fossilization of bones cannot occur, they do not. Too many times they reference to seashells and oysters, but seashells are the exoskeletons of mollusks such as snails, clams, oysters and many others. Such shells have 3 distinct layers and are composed mostly of calcium carbonate with only a small quantity of protein, no more than 2%. These shells, unlike typical animal structures, are not made up of bone cells. Today's modern paleontologists only like to quote and repeat what the first scammers that created the first dinosaur fossils said about how dinosaurs could have came to existence and fossilization, but they have never been able to fossilize a bone into a fossil. The dinosaur fossils are nothing more than mere wet cement and sand mixed together that produces a sandstone fossil or sandstone sculpted. Anyone can go to a Home Depot and Lowe's and create a dinosaur mold and pour in some cement and sand, and they would get a legit dinosaur. On a side note, the dinosaur findings started in the US in 1856 by 3 paleontologist scammer artists, Joseph Laïdi, the leader of the group, O.C. Marsh and Edward Pope. The three would create all the famous dinosaurs: the bones, fossils of the Triassic period, Jurassic period, early Cretaceous period. C.H. Sternberg would become the fourth youngest member that would join them and would continue creating the dinosaurs of the late Cretaceous period after the three original members died. Other younger family members and employees would learn their techniques of scamming and creating dinosaurs and would continue the scamming after the four died, and the scamming is still continuing until the present. Not all paleontologists know about the scamming. The ones that know about the scamming do the scamming and become successful, making millions, while most paleontologists just become students who do free labor digging for something that was dumped to the paleontologists that are doing the scamming. Evolution itself relies on the dinosaurs' fossils, prehistoric fossils and prehistoric ape fossils, so without the fossils evolution does not exist, because the prehistoric apes fossils were created by first clay molders and then either sculpted in stone or done with mold by dumping wet cement and sandstone into the mold, which would produce a dry sandstone fossil of the prehistoric ape. Evolutionists and paleontologists like to make far-fetched excuse and answer about prehistoric animals and dinosaurs. Far-fetched claims that are broad and claims that cannot be tested. It's the best way to tell a lie, to give a far-fetched broad response that cannot be tested. Sedimentary layer testing is the testing of the terrains on where dinosaur fossils are found. The more stone layers a terrain has on which the dinosaur fossil are found on, the more old the terrain is considered along with the fossils. Since the scammers were choosing specific locations to dump the fossil, sedimentary testing is a failure. Dinosaur fossils are claimed too old to be carbon dated tested by science.